accountancy modules, as you can see here. So these are the 11 core mods we have to take for accountancy students. Besides, we also have to fulfill one compulsory internship, which is something related to finance or accountancy and costs up to 4 MCs. Yeah, next. Okay, next, I'm going to share with you the group project we did for SEM 1. So I'm going to share the actual group project done by my team in the previous SEM. So for example, this mod is called the legal environment of business, or we can call it as law. So we have to do two kinds of group project. One is group case study and another is group research project. Okay, next. So for group case study, we are given a case like this, and we have to analyze and interpret the case and give some case evaluation. So yeah, next. So for presentation, we also did some kind of video. So this is a video about the case, and we do a short intro of the case using the video. So it's the video like this. Next. Next thing. Oh. Yeah. Besides, we also perform skit at class during our presentation. So we perform a skit at High Court because it's a law module. So we perform the skit of High Court in our class. So this is to tell you that the presentation in business school is not the typical presentation you have seen. So we can do a lot of stuff like do videos, do drama, skits, as well as Kahoot in the end to engage the audience and make the presentation more lively. Yeah, next. The second group project we done for this law module is a group research project where we have to create an online business and also involve all those preempt legal problems and suggest resolution for them, and also like apply all our contractual principles we learned in class in this project. So this is an example. Yeah, so this is an example of our preempt legal problems and our possible resolution for the problem. Yeah, this is a screenshot taken from my group project. Next. This one also we have to include some express and implied terms in the project. Yeah. Next. Besides, we have to create a mock-up website for our online business. So yeah, this is to tell you that in business school, even though you are an accountancy student, you still have to do something not so related to accountancy, like skits, like websites, as well as maybe some skits, some videos, or Kahoot kind of thing. So accountancy students, we learn a lot of things in NUS Business School. Yeah. Next. This is also like the website screenshot from our online business website. Next, I'll pass the time to Violet to talk about the different perspective of NUS Business School.
Okay, thank you, Wan Ling. Now I'll be going through some fun facts about NUS Business School and the overall vibes of our faculty. So first of all, a lot of our assignments are based on a group setting. So you can say that we have even more group projects than other faculties. Therefore, we have a lot of opportunities to meet new people and to learn from them. But if you're unlucky, you may team up with free riders. So don't be a sucker yourself. Next, we have a Talent Connect portal, and this is a website that provides you a lot of career and internship opportunities. And Talent Connect, together with other CCAs, also hosts a lot of networking events. So you can really meet a lot of like-minded individuals and broaden your network by signing up for those events. Next, it's compulsory for us to take career preparation modules. So these are workshops that basically teaches us how to craft a good resume and how to prepare for job interviews. So these are especially useful for us when we're applying for internships in the future. So next is class participation. Class part is very important in business school because it takes up a lot of marks in our rubrics, but they're quite easy to gain. So class part marks are basically the marks you gain for putting yourself out there. So all you need to do is to be active in class, ask questions and answer questions, or even participating in your online forum. So as Wan Ling mentioned just now, we also have a lot of presentation, but if the presentation is not 100% formal, you can include skits, videos, and Kahoot quizzes. And these elements make your presentation very entertaining and engaging. And some professors like that, so you might get higher marks just for these reasons. And also, we are self-acclaimed the best jazz faculty because most of us don't wear pajamas to class. Okay, next. For those who are already considering studying business in NUS, you may already seen the photos on the left. And this is BIS1, the newest building in business school. But in reality, for most of our year 1 modules, we don't take our classes there. We take our classes in BIS2, which is on the right side. So moving on, here are some career opportunities for studying business. Most of them involve management, consulting, and analytics, but in different directions based on your specializations. So of course, studying business offers you a very wide range of opportunities, and there are so much more than what are listed on this slide. Okay, lastly, I'll be going through a little bit on the BBA admission interview. So this interview applies only for UEC candidates only. So those who have gone through A-levels don't need to worry about it at all. So, and do note that this interview is separate from your scholarship interview if you're applying for one. And if business is not your first choice, you might still get invited to the interview if you're shortlisted. So speaking from experience, unless you're 100% that you don't want to study business anymore, I think you should prepare for the interview and just go for it, just in case you don't get your first choice. So the interview will be held around May and the results will be out around June. So speaking from my friends and my own experiences, what they ask during the interview is about you. They want to know you as a person. So they'll maybe ask questions like your strengths, weaknesses, your leadership experiences, and the business leaders you look up to. So these are questions that you can really prepare beforehand. So do try to learn more about yourself so that you can be prepared for this part. And apart from that, they'll also ask about your views on current affairs, like on random aspects. For example, I was asked about my opinions on sustainability in Malaysia, and my friend was asked about gender inequality and how to end it. So these questions are the ones you need to improvise on the spot. So I think the least you can do is just be mentally prepared for it. So we've come to the end for this talk. Should you have any problems, you can submit your questions at the link above and head over to the breakout room, and we'll see you there. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, business students, for your insightful and very informative talk. So next up, we will welcome our School of Computing students to share more about computing courses. So yeah, so computing students, please. Yeah, so in the meantime, School of Computing is one of the bigger faculty here in NUS, and also one of the hottest courses here on NUS. So yeah, and they can do a lot of things. Yeah. So do you guys want to share screen first? Yeah, share screen. Yeah. All right. Ken.
So hi everyone, thanks for taking time out for this afternoon to come for MSL event. I'm Jermaine from Business Analytics, and my friends and I will be sharing about the School of Computing. So if at any point you have questions, right, feel free to send them into the Pigeonhole link on the top of the slides. So yeah, guys, you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I will go first. Hello everyone, I'm Li Hui. I'm year 1 business analytics major, and I'm now staying in Residential College 4, one of the RCs in NUS. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I'm a CS major. I stay in Prince George's Park Residence, where we have supper downstairs and aircon room upstairs.
Hello everyone, I'm Jared, and I'm a year 1 computer science major who changed to business analytics recently, and I stay in Shearstorm.
And I'm Jermaine from Business Analytics, and I stay in USOF. So this is a brief overview of what we'll be talking about today. And just to start things off, here is some numbers that I think you'll be interested in. And as you can see on the right, the two rightmost columns, right? Having a degree or a major in the School of Computing is very good for your career prospects if that is what you think is important. But at the same time, if you look at the columns on the left, you can expect some level of competition in the School of Computing. So yeah, nothing ever comes easy. And without further ado, let me pass my time to Yihui, who will share more about business analytics.
Yeah, so we're doing the business analytics part for this segment. So business analytics, although the naming is called business analytics, but we are located under School of Computing. Because of that, under School of Computing, so most of the modules are basically subjects like English, Chinese, and Malay that you took in high school. So most of the modules that we are taking are very programming and coding heavy as well. And yeah, so under School of Computing. So as you can see on the screen, we listed out a few modules that or subjects or topics that you might learn if you are in business analytics major. So yeah, you can see there are some programming methodology, some analytics, math and stats, methods, and web data mining and big data techniques. So all these are separate modules that you're going to take if you are BZA major. And the last two of these is financial and marketing analytics. These are specializations that BZA students can go into when they are around like year 2 sem 2 or year 3 sem 1. So the pictures, the screenshots that we put on this screen is the interface that we use for our semester 1 module. The first one you see class crewmate, that one it's Python. It's under the programming methodology module. And the other one that looks not that familiar to, I believe, to most people, it's called RStudio. Yeah. Can we move on next slide? Yeah, so the module that only BZA students will need to take as their core module, it's BT1101, it's Intro to Business Analytics. It's a module using RStudio. RStudio is a markdown language. It's a bit different from like Python and Java. So what we can use RStudio to do is to do like visualization, like bar graphs, line graphs, and making tables. And we can also use it for some optimization methods like prescriptive analytics. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah, so I believe a lot of you would have some questions about BZA and DSA, business analytics and data science and analytics. So to make it simple, BZA is under School of Computing, and for I think from this cohort onwards, DSA is under the College of Humanities and Science. So we are under different faculties, and for BZA, we use analytics in terms of business context. And because we're under School of Computing, we use a lot of programming and coding to solve the business analytics part. And for DSA, of course, they would also need to take a lot of modules regarding to programming and coding. But because they are considered data science, so a lot of the modules they take will be more mathy, more heavy in math and stats, and they will go more in depth in terms of data analytics. Yeah, that's the major difference. Next slide. Yeah, I will pass on the time to our presenters here. They're going to present about CS overview now. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Jared, and today I'm here to share an overview about computer science, or CS as what we usually call it over here in the School of Computing. Okay, so I'll try to keep it short and simple, as these are basic information that can be found on the NUS School of Computing website, and I'll try to give more time to the presenters who are giving more insight on SOC and CS in general behind me. Okay, so what we'll learn in CS is, of course, the fundamentals first, like basic programming, data structure, algorithms, discrete math, and all these listed here like computational methods, organization, security, artificial intelligence, and software engineering. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, actually, computer science is more like a big umbrella in SOC, which you get to learn a bit of everything from the other majors in the School of Computing, like information system and information security. With that said, this makes it extremely competitive and difficult. And all these bullet points listed here, like algorithms and theory, artificial intelligence, and all are some specializations or what we call focus areas here in computer science that you will be choosing usually during your third year of study in the School of Computing. Basically, all of us here sharing today are still year one, so we can't really give any deep insights on each of these focus area, but you can look these curriculums up on the NUS School of Computing website and their respective mods in NUS mods. Okay, do take note that you still can take computer science as a major, even if you have no prior experience in programming or any computer science related knowledge, or you don't understand and have not heard of any of the topics that are listed here. But there are some things to take in consideration before trying to apply to this very hard and challenging major in NUS, which I will share later on in the guides to survive in the School of Computing. And now I'll pass the mic to my friend Ethan, who will give you all some insight about things and what we do as a computer science student.
Thanks, Jared. Hi guys, I'm Ethan. So if you guys come and take computer science at NUS, this will be the mod that takes up more than half your time throughout the whole semester, or ONS. So essentially, it's a gamified mod, as you can see. In fact, we have a story mode, but I didn't really explore that mode for the unit lah. We are using a website called Source Academy, which was made by our profs and some students. And then the programming language here is called Source, which is a subscript of JavaScript maintained by the professors. Okay, next slide. So the best part of all ONS is the assignments. So these are all homework I did for this semester. So our homework, basically, what we get to do is that instead of like they teach arrays and you're expected to code an array out for your homework, what all ONS does is they let us play around with stuff like image manipulation, robotics, drawing graphs and curves. And my favorite one, which is the one you see my face on, that's the videos, your camera feed editing one, where you have to code something that takes in your camera input and transform it out and outputs it back to you. It's very hard lah, and you find a lot of CS students struggling with most of the missions and the quests, but you eventually get it with the help of like your friends, your TAs, and your profs. So yeah, it's kind of fun module. 10 out of 10. Okay, so I'll be passing it back to the others to talk about next slide. So yeah, I'll be passing the mic to the others to talk about the good and the bad of computing.
Yep, so I'll just be giving a quick rundown of our experiences and the positives and the negatives. So starting off with the negatives, as you might know, School of Computing has a very steep learning curve, and the content is delivered in a very fast pace. And this is particularly difficult, especially if you don't have prior experience. So yeah, the trick is to actually like learn to pace yourself. Like the foundation mods are there to help you get ready for what's coming ahead. So you learn to like prioritize things and like take things at your own pace, and then learn to seek help from other people until you get to where you want to be. And of course, there's the heavy workload. Here you see a very packed timetable, which doesn't really apply to most of us. Like my timetable isn't as packed as this, but the fact is that for School of Computing students, right, we take mods that are very like homework heavy. For example, like programming mods and mathematics mods, which require a lot of practice. So you are forced to like prioritize your time in order to keep up. But on the bright side, there's a lot of help available in the faculty, from the lecturers all the way down to the students who are taking the course together with you. So in this slide, you can see like a screenshot of a forum, which is set up for my business analytics mod. So students can ask whatever questions they have here, and the lecturers and the tutors and the other students can help to answer the questions. So whenever I have doubts, I will just come to this forum, and then most of the time, like someone else already asked the same question that I want to ask. So like this is a very convenient means to get help. And of course, as Ethan just mentioned, the work we are given is very interesting and engaging, and we get to apply what we learn in a very meaningful way. So now back to Jared, who will share about how we can survive in the School of Computing.
Right, can you navigate to the next slide? All right, thank you. Okay, here's a short segment that will share some tips on surviving your first semester in computer science. Or should you ever try to survive in here? What do I mean? Okay, I'll talk about it in a while, but here's number one. Okay, set realistic expectations and know your limits. A lot of School of Computing students have like 4A+, so it's really easy to feel imposter syndrome. But know that a lot of SOC mods here are heavy in content and workload. So don't overburn yourself within a semester. It's very easy to burn out here. Note that computer science is one of the hardest majors to enter in NUS, and all the people here are very smart. On top of that, NUS grades work on a bell curve basis. So be ready to expect a drop in grade or a very challenging time over here. So I stress this again, limit your expectations. Number one. Number two, be disciplined and keep up with lecture. The computing learning flow is very fast-paced, where the lecturers try to cram in tons of information in one semester, which is only like 13 weeks of time. So it is pretty easy to be left behind. So you need to make sure to not fall back too far until you cannot catch up and find yourself in a crisis. And number three, have a goal you want to achieve and always keep it in mind. And next, don't forget to make friends and chill. Try to find a few friends to struggle with together, because doing it alone can be very demoralizing and overwhelming for you. And lastly, okay, here are some personal experience that I would like to share. Okay, first, I don't doubt that the fact that a lot of you truly have a passion for computer science and you really want to pursue this major in university, but I believe that there is still a number of you who chose CS because it is the recent hype of course to major in university and mainly the salary it offers after graduation. If you're one of them, I strongly discourage you to choose this major. Why? Because me, myself, is one of the examples who majored in CS because of what it offers after graduation, and it ranks number one in Google. But after one semester of study, I found out that I actually have no interest in this field. So I decided to change course to BZA, which is Business Analytics. And not to joke around, CS really is a very difficult course, and without passion and interest, it is very hard for you to push yourself forward. So do make sure you really have a passion for something here before enrolling into this course. And if you're really not sure, but you still got in anyway, you have the chance to try out CS 101S, which is the one Ethan showed just now, which is a core module for CS here. And by the time, you will have your own understanding to this course and whether it's suitable for you. Next slide. And last but not least, if you guys want to prepare yourself a little bit on programming before enrolling into like SOC, these are some websites you can visit to learn some coding and basic programming, which are free, I guess. Yep, that's all.
All right. So thank you so much, School of Computing students, for sharing about your experience in SOC. So next up, we'll be having all the engineering students to share, about all the different engineering majors and engineering courses here in NUS. So yeah, so we can have all the engineering students up. I'll be sharing screen. Okay. Engineers, are you guys here? Wait, can you guys see my screen? Yeah, okay, awesome. All right. Okay, we can get started.
All right, so good evening, people. Now we're going to talk about engineering in NUS. So to kind of provide an overview on what we'll be sharing in this next 10 minutes, we'll first talk about the Faculty of Engineering as a whole. Then we'll talk about some of our engineering students, the experience of some of our engineering students from their respective major. And before we proceed, let's talk about the merger of the Faculty of Engineering and the School of Design and Environment. So basically from the 1st of January of this year onwards, these two faculties merged to form the College of Design and Engineering, or CDE for short. So just keep this in mind if you're interested in applying to engineering or design and environmental courses. And next, for the curriculum of engineering majors, the structure is very similar to most other NUS courses, where you need to take 15 modules under the common curriculum, 15 modules under your major requirement, and finally 10 unrestricted elective modules where you're free to take a second minor or even a second major. And at the bottom right, we can see how all of the modules in the CDE, the New College of Design and Engineering, are categorized into the 7 icons that corresponds to the so-called 7 pillars in NUS. Right, with that all being said, let's proceed to our experience sharing portion, starting with the common engineering experience. So to begin with, when you're enrolled in an engineering course, it means that you have various various hands-on opportunities for you to get your hands dirty. A few examples include building robots as a team and understanding engineering principles and concepts through your weekly lab session, your physical lab session. And of course, being engineers, we have to study math, which you either really like or you really have a tough time in. So be ready to study in groups to teach each other. And lastly, alongside the hands-on activities that you get, you also learn to brainstorm ideas and improve them through prototype in a group. And that is all for our common experience. Now let's hear about specific major experience, starting from computer engineering.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm from computer engineering. So computer engineering is an interdisciplinary program offered by both the School of Computing and the Faculty of Engineering. With that being said, so you have a lot of opportunities to specialize in various areas. So you can take technical elective from small things such as embedded systems all the way to large scale computing. And you have the choice to specialize in various things such as IoT, robotics, or even data engineering. A common question asked about computer engineering is like, what's the difference between you and like computer science? So the official answer will be like computer engineering, you focus a lot on electronics and hardware, and focus on how you can make it work better using the software knowledge you have. While computer science, you are focused more on the theoretical aspect of things where you are focusing on like algorithms and software and how to run algorithm clusters. So for my first semester in the US, I get to learn both the software and hardware side of things. So on the left side, you can see like me coding in like C, which is a programming language that deals with small systems. And on the right hand side, you can see how I applied those like coding knowledge for me to code up this robot for it to navigate a maze. So that's the idea of computer engineering, where you can explore a lot of different areas. So I'll move on to the next engineering major.
Hi, I'll be talking about chemical engineering. So unlike chemistry, we are not learning about the molecular reactions. Instead, we are like focusing more on like say the flow rates of chemical A and chemical B, or like the temperature of the reaction. And then so in this slide you can see, because of that, right, we are actually very much focused on the manufacturing industries. I also have a link below if you wanna look at it. So these are just the general combinations. Then this is one of my chemical engineering mods that I took. Just briefly look through. Like we do some experiments and like do some math, and that's about it. Yeah, I'll hand over the time to mechanical engineering.
We're talking about mechanical engineering. So we are one of the most versatile engineering disciplines, and we basically deal with things that move. So some of the most important topics of mechanical engineering are listed here, and you will be exposed to all these topics in your first semester through like very basic knowledge. Yeah, and there will be a lot of experiments that help you understand these topics better. And for Mech-Eng, we have 4 specializations, which are aeronautical engineering, robotics, energy and sustainability, and offshore oil and gas technology. So if you're interested, you can choose to specialize in all these fields.
Okay, so we'll move on to civil.
So I'll be talking about civil engineering. So civil engineering, it actually covers a very broad scope, and it has many sub-disciplines that you may choose from, such as structural engineering, geotechnical engineering, coastal engineering, transportation engineering, and so on. So in year 1, we get to experience using 3D building information modeling software, such as Revit and MicroStation, to model buildings and structures. So you see in the picture there, that was my group project. And you also get like many opportunities for hands-on experiences to apply what you have learned in this course. So we got to experience concrete mixing, where we design our own concrete mixers and conduct tests to ensure that it meets the strength requirements. And in year 2, I also got to design and analyze a bridge using commercial building analysis software to sustain a load of minimum 10 kilograms, and then build it using wood strips and test it during one of our lab sessions.
All right, so we'll
Yeah,
move on.
so I'll be talking about the electrical engineering side next. So pretty self-explanatory. Electrical engineering will work on a lot of electrical and electronics parts. And I would say that it's a very versatile field of engineering with a very wide career options in the future. So in NUS particularly, you can actually choose from specialization in robotics, IoT, or minor in data engineering. So in EE, basically what we do is that we will work on both the software and hardware. I've attached some pictures there that you can see. And then we will be also working on a lot of calculations and data circuit analysis. And next slide, please. So this is one of the cooler mods in EE where actually we will design a game from this development board called Basis Tree here. On the right, you can see one example of us playing a Flappy Bird game that is designed from scratch. So basically, this is it.
Yeah, we'll have biomedical.
Hello. All right, yeah, so I'll be going through the biomedical engineering side. So for biomedical engineering, the first thing that I want to bring up is that you should be clear that biomedical engineering is not half biological sciences and half engineering. In fact, it's 20% biological sciences and 80% engineering. Because what we are doing is that we're not really learning about biomedical sciences, we are learning how to apply engineering principles in the health sector. So because of this, we actually have a very broad discipline in the sense that we learn almost everything. We learn about design using SolidWorks, which is a computer-aided design program. We learn about physics, fluid dynamics, stuff like that. You'll also be learning about biochemistry, and you'll be learning, of course, math since you're in engineering. And you'll also be learning on computing as well, because you'll be using MATLAB, Python to do data analysis or other simulations. So the pathways for biomedical engineering is very broad. So what you can do is a lot of things from biomechanics, biomaterials and tissue engineering, biomedical electronics and imaging, and you can also take a specialization in robotics. So there are also a lot of research opportunities through Europe, and there's a special second major program called IDP, Innovation and Design Program itself. And we also have a NUS wide curriculum called MedTech, where you can do lots of hands-on medical related technological projects. That's all for biomedical engineering.
Yeah, so that's all the engineering, like majority of the engineering courses that's offered here at NUS. So if anyone would have any more questions regards to all the different engineering courses and how they differ with one another, feel free to go to the engineering breakout room where we can answer your question directly. Thank you. Yeah, so I think, okay, so thanks all the different engineers for sharing. So we'll move on to our next final course sharing segment where we'll be inviting some of the very specialized courses, such as nursing, architecture, and nursing to share their experience. Yeah. So are they here? Oh, all right, they're here. All right, you guys can start sharing screen. Yeah.
Yeah, hello. So we'll be giving a talk on architecture, nursing, and dentistry. I'm Chun, and I'm going to be giving a talk on architecture. Jia will be giving a talk on dentistry, and Xingyi will be giving a talk on nursing. Yeah, so I'll go first. I'll talk about architecture. So why choose NUS architecture? So first of all,
Of course, NUS architecture is ranked 6th in the world by QS World Rankings in 2021. And next is also, it's located in Singapore, and Singapore is, a rapidly urbanizing city and also one of the most sustainable cities in the world. So yeah, that's something to consider. And I would say in NUS, architecture has a very diverse learning environment because most of our tutors are practicing architects. So you will get a lot of different approaches to design. Yeah, so for architecture, we have to go through additional selection processes, which includes a portfolio, model, and interview. So some tips for this selection process is, first of all, your portfolio does not have to be related to architecture at all. And what I would say is more important in your portfolio is the purpose and concept of, why you made this artwork instead of like how you did it. So even if you're not good at drawing or sketching, you can still do it as long as you know why you're doing it. So next, I'll recommend if you want to interview for architecture to research and read up, because you can see the sample questions. The interviewers will ask a lot of like weird and unexpected questions, and it's good to read up and research more. So even if you don't know what you're talking about, at least you sound like you know. Yeah, so and lastly, don't be afraid to answer any questions, because in architecture, there's no right or wrong. So if you're wondering what you can submit for your portfolio, these are some examples of what I did. And yeah, as you can see, no, nothing here is actually related to architecture. So a brief overview for our course in architecture. To become a real registered architect, you need at least 7 years. And you can see here, it's 4 years in our bachelor's program. And if you proceed to the concurrent degree master's program, you can save 1 year and you go on to practice 2 years. And finally, you take, the last qualifications to become a registered architect. But do note that this registered architect is only for SIA and BOA, which are both in Singapore. So if you want to work in Malaysia, you have to take some other tests back in Malaysia. So some of the modules we take in architecture are on design, history and theory, technology, environment, urban and landscape, and recently engineering, because we merged with the engineering schools. So in architecture, we have one core module and it's called the Design Studio. We have it every sem. And what actually is Design Studio is for classes. You just go and you can see in the photo, we pin up our works and we just talk about it and discuss it with our tutors and classmates. And as I said, we have a very diverse learning environment, and each tutor has a different way of teaching and approaching you. So yeah, experiences vary every semester, which is pretty interesting. And next, for our culture, yeah, we're a highly competitive course because, as you can see in our grades, we do not have any exams and it's entirely based on our coursework. So how they grade our coursework is, of course, they compare it with your peers. So yeah, it's very competitive, but luckily, everyone is also very close and helpful in our course. So some of the coursework you will be doing analog drawing, which are pencil and ink drawings, model making, like using wood, concrete, clay, fabric, a lot of different kind of materials, and of course digital drawing using Adobe software, AutoCAD, and lastly some rendering using Rhino and Grasshopper. So some personal experience I had in this course that I wish I knew before I joined was nobody pays for your model making materials, and yeah, this is roughly how much I spent in the first semester. And of course, there's a lot of model making process. It's not just, all those pretty models you see online. Yeah, actually have to go cut the wood, source the concrete, and yeah, make all the things yourself. So be prepared for that. You have a lot of sleepless nights. Yes. Yeah, so that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, you can head over to the breakout room to ask questions later.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Jia Jia, a year 1 student in NUS Dentistry, and I'll be sharing more about my faculty. First, the application process. Round one would be your application submission to NUS together with other courses that you're interested in. And afterwards, if you are shortlisted, you'll be invited to round two, which is the mental dexterity test. They'll usually only notify a week before the test date. So yeah, that's that. And lastly, if you pass the test, there will be a final interview. I'm actually not allowed to share a lot about what I do during the test, but I've actually included some links at the end of my slides, which covers some of the stuff that may be tested lah. So yeah, next slide, please. Moving on to the mode of lessons, they are both content-based and lab-based. In order to learn content, you have online lectures and also in-person tutorials. And to build on your foundation, you also learn a very good mix of like medicine and dentistry topics, at least like in my first year lah, from my experience. And all classes are pretty small, so it's very easy for discussion. And most importantly, exams are pass or fail only lah. So there's no bell curve. You really like you just put in your effort and yeah, see your results lah. And so moving on, like for lab sessions, we'll learn skills essential for dentists and also get to observe cadavers to learn more about anatomy. Next slide, please. So this is what my timetable looked like in Sem 1, which is quite packed compared to other courses. Just in case you didn't know, NUS Dentistry is a 4-year program instead of 5, which is usually the case in other unis. Which I guess kind of explains why my schedule is so packed. And if you want to have a closer look, you can actually look at this slide and see what kind of subjects we took. But I think one thing that's good about NUS Dentistry is, like for us Malaysians, is that the degree is accepted in Malaysia also. So yeah, that's I think one point to consider as well. Next slide, please. Yeah. So you'll get to do hands-on work right from the start, which I think is very helpful. So here are some of the things we did during our operative dentistry lab session, like learning how to use the different drills. Yeah. Next slide, please. The picture above shows some of the tools we use. And I think the coolest part is that you'll get your own Oscar, which is this dummy that we practice on before we get to treat actual patients in year 3. So that dummy is the weird looking doll with the blue color rubber at the bottom of the slide. And yeah, the rest of the lab just kind of show, the rest of the pictures just kind of show what the lab looks like. Yeah. So in dentistry, next slide please. Yeah, thank you. In dentistry, you'll get plenty of social interaction because of the small cohort size. And we are a very close-knit community, especially within our own small groups called clusters. And everybody's very friendly and willing to help each other, like sharing notes. Yeah. Next slide, please. This is my cluster. So it's just some pictures to show you how life is in dentistry. Like we celebrate each other's birthdays and like hang out quite a lot because like the cohort is like very small and so very tightly bonded. And finally, yeah, and next slide, please. Yeah, and finally, here are some useful links which I think helped me a lot during my own preparation. Yeah, thank you. I hope this presentation has been useful for you, and maybe I'll see some of you all in August. If you have any other questions, you can always just head over to the Q&A segment where yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you. And I'll pass on the time to Cindy to talk more about nursing.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Xin Yi, and I'm a year 1 nursing student in NUS, and I'm now going to give a course talk which is related to nursing. So I believe most of you are really interested in the application procedure, and it's actually similar to other courses in which you need to submit your application online and provide supporting documents and pay the application cost. However, not everyone will be required to attend an interview, but I believe international students will be necessary in most cases, and the application result will be released from May to July via undergraduate applicant portal. So you need to check your email very frequently during that time. Yeah, so next slide. many people will ask me about the admission requirements. And if you look at the requirements on the website, it stated that you need at least 3 good passes in your subject, or 4 or 5, depending on your qualifications. But in my opinion, you need to have like good passes in the all science subject, especially biology, because biology is very important in nursing study. But if your biology is not very good, you still can like give it a try. Why not? Right? Yeah, next slide. So moving on, one of the most key things of the application process is interview. It's usually conducted 5 to 10 minutes via Zoom, and it normally linked to your personal statement. The interview process is first, you need to introduce about yourself, and then they will start asking you questions such as why you want to choose nursing, what is your strength and weaknesses, how do you overcome your weaknesses, and so on. So my advice for the interview is you need to understand about your characteristics and understand why you want to be a nurse and what is the job of a nurse. And you also need to know about your direction of the life. So for example, what do you really want to do in your life, or what do you really want to do after you graduated? Yeah, next slide. So here are some things to take note when you are applying nursing. If you really hope to enroll into the nursing, my advice is like you need to put nursing into your first choice on applications, and you also need to show about your sincerity in the interview, which means that you need to show them you really want to be a nurse in the future, or at least you really want to in this healthcare industry. And apart from that, you also need to understand about your personal statement, understand about your direction. It's like see yourself in 5 or 10 years. And also it's really important to ask questions in the interview, no matter it's related to a nurse or curriculum. And you also need to show about your confidence in the interview. So don't be panicked and nervous, and need to believe that you can do it. So moving on for the university life. So basically our teaching style is like we have e-lecture conducted via Zoom or pre-recorded. And we have tutorial every week or twice a week, depending on different classes. And some of the classes have lab twice a week on the school. And the interesting part is the lab is normally is like a paid ward, which means that you can practice your clinical skill on mannequin. And then it's really interesting and fun. However, I do not have the photo of the ward because we are not allowed to take the photo in there, but you can just imagine about it. Yeah. So the last part I want to emphasize is, next slide, please. Yeah, the last part I want to emphasize is about the financial aid for nursing. So we have 2 types, scholarship and sponsorship. I know that the tuition fee is pretty high in NUS, especially for an international student. So if you have financial burdens and if you couldn't get the scholarship, you can consider about the sponsorship, which is sponsored by different hospitals and there is no nationality limited. They will give you monthly allowance, and the disadvantages is like you need to work for this hospital after graduated. So for example, if you receive the sponsorship for 2 years, then you need to work for this hospital after 2 years. So if you want to find out more about information, you can go to these 2 websites for more details. Yeah. So if you have any question, feel free to ask me in the breakout room and can just type in the pigeonhole. I will just try my best to answer the question. Yeah. So thank you so much. This is the end